cloud. Chilly start, but I think it's going to be a lovely day. We'll have to do a bit more insulation. So look at the insulated ceiling, roof, ceiling, it's both, because it's the layer below the outer layer, but it is also a ceiling, almost completed. And that's the start on the walls. And the exterior walls, as you can see, PIR, same as the ceiling slash roof. And then the walls in between the little, well, not really rooms, are they? Different spaces inside this shed. Because this one that I'm looking at is going to be my home office, so it needs to be quiet. So it's going to have that rock wool bat insulation in it because it's sound deadening, as opposed to anything to do with warmth necessarily. It'll give that too, but that's not why we've got it. And there's the view out of my hopefully soon to be office window.
Welcome to this week's video, and this week's video is about insulation. So after building the 6x2 framework for the cabin stroke shed, we've then filled, which we've done off camera because it's very time consuming, very laborious, very dusty, very annoying, but it's mostly done. We fill the gaps between all the timbers with PIR or Kingspan Celotex, and as you can see, there are lots of brands, lots of different manufacturers' labels on all of the insulation. This is because we bought seconds. So there's a company that sells all the seconds from the manufacturer of the insulation. And we thought, as previous experience with it shows, that with a second board, if the corners are knocked off it or there's a dent on it at all, it can't be sold in a mainstream shop. So those are then shipped off to smaller companies that can sell the seconds, and then it doesn't have to be landfilled or completely wasted. Obviously, then you've got the environmental impact of scrapping it loads, so it then comes down to a matter of cost. So if you have a look at the, let me just turn this around, if you have a look at the Celotex, the PIR boards, I'll stick to one, the PIR boards. If you look at the PIR boards, you'll see that there are lumps and bumps all over it. Now, when we're cutting it, we've been finding hollows in it, so it's a bit harder to see on that section there. If I take you into this half, it'll be more apparent, especially there. So we were finding that there are hollows in it, so when you're rubbing your fingers over it, all of a sudden your fingers will break through the foil and you say, oh, there's a hollow in there. So each piece then has to be carefully inspected, and any hollows we have to expose them, and then we fill them up with the expanding foam gun, which with hindsight we wouldn't have bothered with, because the time it takes to do that and the cost of the expanding foam tubes, it's borderline whether it's actually worth using the seconds at all. It just slows the whole process down and effectively doesn't give you quite as good an insulation as if it was not damaged in the first place. But there we go. We used seconds. We saved on some money. And it's a good example really of keeping the costs down and being able to insulate it with thicker insulation for the cost of thinner insulation. So between each of the timbers there is 5-inch kingspan between all of the 6x2 framework. So what we intend to do now, where we meet the corners, probably if I zoom out here, you'll see that there are corner timbers in. So we've got to get some 2-inch and tuck it in behind so that it's insulated in behind. Just to illustrate. So it will be insulated in behind the corner timber, and then we'll follow it up with another piece that sits across there like so. So you still get the 4 inches of minimum of 4 inches in the 6-inch timber gap. And the reasons we've gone for 5-inch insulation is because we're trying to keep a 1-inch or 20mm, 25mm cavity between the back of the insulation and the felt that is covering the outside. So that's the reasons that we've gone for that. It's as thick as we can put in. So the next process will be to take 11mm ply, which we've got a tipper full here. Just to show you what we've got there. It's been pouring with rain for a change. So we've got 11mm ply at the top there. So we're going to clad the ceiling in 11mm, and then all of the external walls, the inside of the walls rather, we're going to line with 18mm sterling board. So we're going to put 11mm ply onto the ceilings, and that will act as a sandwich. Then the insulation will be sandwiched in between 2 layers, and then I can take out this strut piece that I've put in, which is additional support. It's a temporary support. It's literally there to stop the roof bending until the structure is complete. So once the 11mm ply goes on, then we've got 18mm on the outside and 11mm underneath, and the 6-inch timbers then will act as much support as it can get. Obviously there are no horizontal ties as if you would have an A-frame. There are no horizontal ties for a flat ceiling because we're going to stay with the pitched ceiling. So as much strength as we can get there will stop any of the deflection from the weight of the green roof that we are planning to put on top. So that's about as good an explanation as I can give you for what we're up to, where we're at. There are, well, in the ceiling there are 150, 60 cuts. All of them have to be angle cutted at the top, angle cutted down the bottom, so they shoot over on top of the wall plate. There, they shoot out and meet the outside, so that above the wall is insulated. And then you insert a middle piece that you could probably pick up on there. That's a square cut, and that has to be wriggled into place. So basically there are no voids, no cavities, and it's very much like a flask now. So I just got a few little sections left to do, and if we look there we can see that they need to be constructed at a 2-inch, and then some corner timbers. There's one that's complete, and you can see there's just the bottom of the 2-inch showing, and the timber that I've put in to support the edge of the ceiling is in place there. Down this edge here, there needs to be a timber put in place. And if we scoot across to this one, you can see down that edge there, I need to put a timber in. So prior to putting the timber in, I've 2-inch king spanned above the join, and then obviously the timber on top won't be as wide as the wall. So there's a 2-inch section just above the wall, so that there is full insulation above the wall. And then a 4x2 I think I'm going to use, because we've got some left from the diagonal bracing. That will go on top of the wall plate, or the header of the wall, and then we'll leave the little bit left there for some 2-inch to bridge the gap. But we start with basically that kind of vibe there. So there are many pieces to be cut, wriggled in and bonded in with expanding foam out of the expanding foam gun. So I've left those because they're fiddly, time consuming, and after cutting hundreds and hundreds of pieces of Kingspan, it's starting to wear a bit thin now. But also it's very underwhelming, and it's not very a rewarding job. It seems to go on for hour after hour after hour, and you feel like you're getting nowhere. But that's why we've not recorded a lot of it, so that basically you can see the end results as opposed to mindless amounts of time lapse and frustrations and the like. So as far as the internal walls go, there are 2. They are also constructed out of 6x2s, and the reason I've done that is because they are supporting the join in the wall plate, in the ridge beam rather, not wall plate. So the ridge beams have a join in them. Obviously we can't get a 9x3, that is, as a ridge beam. It's a heavy ridge beam because it takes the weight of the roof, because there's no A-frame to form a triangle. So basically the roof is hanging from the ridge beam. So the internal walls, back to it, stop muttering, rabbling on. The internal walls will be insulated with this stuff here. So these packs here contain rock wool slabs. Now they are of a sound deadening quality, soundproof, 6-inch thick, and they will fit within the framework there. And the reason for the sound deadening is so that this half of the room will become the daytime office. When we finally, in a matter of weeks now, it's getting to the stage when we finally get onto the renovation of these beautiful stone buildings, we'll need to be making windows, door frames, cutting of the A-frame, pegging holes, and lots of intricate cabinetry. It can all be done indoors through the winter months, through the spring, and can be kept nice and dry, and we can be warm doing it, so we can work long into the evenings and not have to worry about being soaking wet, freezing cold, and in the dark. So that's the plan, and as you can see there's a beautiful view. It'll be difficult to work in the workshop when you've got such a vista to look out upon. And some lovely cows there grazing away.